Hello, everybody, and welcome to Toy Geeks. My name is Jake Laffler from Geek Dad Life.
And I'm Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy.
And we're here to dive into your favorite toy lines 1 year at a time. And we have arrived at a new toy line to dive into. And in retrospect, I was kind of shocked it was only like a 2-year kind of line. It is Dungeons and Dragons, or Advanced Dungeons and Dragons by LJN. And Dan, we got a pretty special guest tonight. This gentleman, maybe I don't be hyperbolic, but like single-handedly brought that kind of style and aesthetic and those wonderful memories of those amazing toys back into the toy collector zeitgeist. Our guest today is Thomas Gwyn from NECA Toys. Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I'm guessing you're a big Dungeons and Dragons fan, at least what you've been able to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, like everybody present today, grew up with it in the 80s, and it's a little bit different for me because I grew up in Southern Appalachia during the 1980s, Satanic Panic,
Oh, yeah.
kind of conservative family. So we actually, my sister and I would sneak on Saturday to watch the cartoon, and we weren't even allowed to watch MTV and Masters of the Universe and stuff like that. So I didn't have, I had a lot of He-Man toys actually, but I don't remember having any of the LJN stuff. There may have been a Warduke that ended up in there.
Mm-hmm.
I had a stepbrother that had every toy imaginable. So when I go over to my dad's on the weekends, that's when I got to play with most of the stuff. But and then so far as playing the game, I really didn't start that until early high school, into 8th grade, beginning of high school. It was maybe 3rd edition.
Okay.
My memories is of the Advanced D&D books, but I think we were playing 3rd edition. I think somebody had 3rd edition. It was terrible. But
well, go ahead. Sorry.
And then I probably didn't play again until 5th edition.
Okay.
When I decided I was going to press gang my kids into it, because if either of you play, that it's really tough sometimes as an adult to keep a campaign going with adults.
Sure.
So they live with me. They have to be present, so I'll be the dungeon master and force them to play. And that went fine for a while until my son got old enough to start his own campaign, and now I'm back to nothing.
Betrayed. Oh, man.
Yes. Et tu, Brute.
So every Monday night, my kitchen's filled with, I don't know, half dozen silly teenagers rolling dice.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it.
That's awesome. Okay, so you actually dedicated enough to where you play Dungeons and Dragons. Dan, are you a Dungeons and Dragons player? Warduke is one of your core. You have it there in your poster, your picture back there. What are your core 4 characters of the Dan Larson mythos?
Yeah, he replaced Captain America on this original illustration. It was originally Captain America was up here, but I had to give him the boot, throw Warduke in.
So clearly you love Dungeons and Dragons, or maybe especially Warduke. But do you play the actual game?
I want to so bad, and we Secret Galaxy, myself, Mike, Kate, a couple other people, we were this close to getting a campaign rolling. We had our DM all set up, or I was too hung up on trying to make it an experience for the viewer. So we were trying to get all the, we're going to do a live stream. We were trying to get all the dice rolls on screen and all the maps and all the sound effects and all the light, all those, tabletop, all that fun stuff. So it was a fun thing to watch on screen, and all that technical crap just got in the way. Instead of just saying look, it's going to look like this. It's going to look like 3, 5, 7 people on screen, and we're going to roll our own dice and take your word for whatever you roll, and then we're just going to play, and we're not going to worry about mapping out who where people are on maps and stuff like that. It's just going to be that sort of, and so I'm going to have to get back to that because I really, 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 really desperately want to play really bad. It's something I've wanted to get back to for so long, because like Tom was just saying, we played in high school and it was an every week thing. We played every single week. We had our giant bowl, which was 50% giant nerds and 50% Sour Patch Kids.
That's a good mix.
Put that mix together every time we play. Make sure everybody's powered up, ready to go.
You gotta have Doritos in there.
Sodas all around, ready. Yeah, absolutely. We were amped, ready to fight for real. And yeah, it was like we were all in the sort of same age group, same class, and then the host's older brother, who was 2 years ahead of us, was the DM, and he hated us. He hated how we played. He thought we were so stupid, and he would get so mad at us that if we did something dumb, he would be like, "I'm just gonna kill the whole party. Like right now, you're all dead." Everybody's gonna die. So, but it was so much fun, and I have so many good memories of it. And I did so much drawing and artwork and stuff that came from that. It was just a good time. For sure.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So that's your experience. I never played it like as a kid. My nerd, okay, a lot of nerdy things, but I guess I got really into Magic the Gathering. So that was kind of like my thing, from junior high through high school, like doing tournaments, like all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of my turn-based gaming experience. I didn't really jump into D&D until probably my early 30s. That's when I a few work friends and we started a little campaign, and we did it for a few weeks, but then we kind of flaked out, and that was it. That was my one kind of real life experience trying to do D&D. But to the toys, I've always loved the toys. I've always loved the iconography, the characters, and the toy line, especially the LJN toy line. I love the scales, like all the different races and how they all kind of looked next to each other. They all kind of their own thing, their own look. And then Fortress of Fangs, I think, is maybe one of the greatest play sets of all time.
Certainly.
So, so I think the thing I appreciate the most is that, and I will say, I think that Dungeons and Dragons movie is an underrated classic, underrated modern classic. Yeah, the new one.
Yes, I agree.
It's a phenomenal movie. So that's, I guess, my side. Thomas, where do you side on the Dungeons and Dragons movie?
I was hoping for something with a little more Lord of the Rings-ish tone to it. Something a little heavier,
less jokey.
But I understand why they did it that way, right? Like you watch that movie and it feels like you're playing. You're like, it's like how you imagine when you play the game.
Exactly. That's why I dug it. Yeah.
But I would love to see like something with a little more weight to it. Take like the director of The Revenant or whatever and have him do a D&D movie.
Damn. Intense.
Like I think Lord of the Rings is the best kind of that type of movie that we've had so far.
Sure.
And like even like the Conan movies have at least the first one has a weight to it, but it's still, it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
But no, go ahead.
But before we went too far, we talked about, Tom, you getting into D&D toys. Like what other toys what other action figure toys things were you playing with as a kid?
I'm a solid G.I. Joe guy. Like,
okay.
See, that's 82 through 90 right there.
Nice.
Oh, heck yeah. Nice.
That's what we just did.
Yes.
So if I had money to spend, I was buying G.I. Joe. The first time I met Dan was at JoeCon in Georgia last year. So I had He-Man. I had a little bit of everything, but growing up, my family didn't have a lot of money, so it was like birthdays and Christmases that see those things. A lot of GoBots. I had an aunt that would buy me like bots left and right.
Oh,
it's, like I said, I had a stepbrother that had everything, so I feel like I had a good solid 80s toy experience. Even like nothing rare like Galaxy Rangers. I don't remember ever playing with something like that, or I don't know. I do remember Dragon Riders of the Sticks.
Nice.
Another low end, low price toy line. I
Mhm.
definitely had some of those. And in that line's defense, just some cool looking stuff.
Yes, that's a great line.
I got him over in my case. I
Oh,
love him.
beautiful.
The Black Knight, like the, I guess he's like the Snake Eyes of the line, but he's like,
Yes.
there's no paint apps, just Black Knight with a shield and sword. What else do you need?
Just a cool knight.
That's all you need. That's all you need. Okay, so you loved toys as a kid of the 80s. Did you have I am now a toy collector period or no?
I can point to an exact moment when I felt like I became a collector, and it was after the '89 Batman came out. We got like a Dollar General or like a dollar store circular mail, and it had the toys lineup in it, and I like freaked out and was like, "Mom, I got to have these." And to my surprise, she actually took me to Dollar General, and they didn't have them. And like I can remember like frantically looking for them in the store, and I think my mom even asked the manager, but it was like the first time like I actively like went and couldn't find it.
Yeah.
But prior to that, it was you go to the store with your parents, beg for a toy, you get one. But you know, and then I don't know what happened with that moment, but after that, I felt like remembering it was always looking for toys.
Yeah. So did you end up getting these are the Toy Biz Batman?
No, I never.
Oh, you didn't?
I never got them. I don't think I got another Batman toy until animated series stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I had the Superpowers Batman, but I never got any of the Toy Biz stuff.
It's a great Batman. It's a great Batman. But now I feel like, and even to this day, you don't have the Toy Biz Batmans?
No, I do actually.
Okay,
I have the Keaton face, and I have the variants. I got a bat wing hanging from the ceiling.
Nice. Okay.
I got the Joker. I got the both variants of that. Yeah. No, I'm good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome. Good.
I just wanted to make sure that I had a happy ending to that story.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, wait, this is still unresolved?
Yeah, they are available.
They're not that expensive still.
Oddly enough, it started. I had to have a Bob the Goon. I like went through a
heck yeah
period where I was like, I got to get the figures that everybody like talks bad about. Like everybody talks about how that's a horrible figure, but I love it. Like it's got a hat, he's got the daggers and stuff.
I'm a Bob the Goon fan. My only problem with him is Toy Biz was so cheap back then, or so like learning how to do things. I have not found a vintage one out of package where the leg just doesn't shoot straight up.
I don't know what mine's doing right now.
All right. So toy collector at that moment, you shifted gears. How did you get into actually making toys, like actually sculpting toys for NECA, or was there a path before that got you to where you are now? Like, how did that happen?
So after school, I kind of drifted for a little while, slept on a lot of couches, that sort of thing. And after that for a few years, I was like, I better go back to college and, either that or up in the gutter or something. So, went back to college, didn't really know what I was going to do my first couple of semesters. I knew I'd always been into art, drawing, sculpting, and whatever, so I figured I'd go that way. But I hadn't really declared a major or anything. And then I think it was around 2002, I was in Toy magazine, and there was an article and there was an interview with two of the Four Horsemen. I don't remember which. I know one of them was Eric Treadway. And the interviewer asked them if somebody wanted to get into the toy biz, what would you recommend? And I can't remember who, but they said, well, there's this really great school in New York City called FT, and they have a toy design program. Shoot for that. And bowled off of my head. The next day I went to school. I became a sculpting major and spent the rest of my school time working on all those fundamentals, fine art and all that. In my spare time, I was getting blocks of Castelline and trying to figure out how to sculpt toys. So after my art school, I applied to FIE. Amazingly got in because they only take 20-something students a year.
Wow.
Graduated from there 2010. Had an internship at Hasbro in 2009. And after I graduated from, well, right after, but same year I graduated from FE, I got on at NECA. I've been there ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. That's cool. That's really
really
cool.
awesome.
We've had a few toy makers, toy sculptors on the show already. And it's always fascinating to hear like the path that you took to get to there. It's really cool.
And it's always crazy to me. I mean, I was in college. I was in an art program in college. I was drawing. I was doing figure modeling and sculpting and all that stuff. And it seemed like something that was so abstract to me that I couldn't even visualize a path to it. You know, like it never occurred to me as something I might want to do, because I could never think that like that's a job. Somebody sculpted that thing, you know, in clay. Somebody drew it. Somebody sculpted it. Somebody, you know, there's a whole process there. And I don't know, like I don't know what would have fixed that. Meeting someone, maybe having exposure to somebody who's actually doing that job to say, how do you what is the path here? You know, like I assume if you had seen an interview, you said like what, early 2000s Toy Fair magazine.
I said 02, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Bart Simpson's on the cover. I remember that.
Okay. I'll see if I can find that interview.
That's what you needed, Darren. You didn't read that
Well,
one
that's the
issue.
thing. I graduated from college in '98. If that issue didn't come out till 2002, I was lost.
Yeah. You're in your wilderness phase.
Yeah.
But to you know, to that end, I still meet people and they ask me what I do, and I tell them there's kind of deer headlights kind of just glazing over. Like most people, they walk through the toy aisle all the time, but they don't realize that there's actually a human hand making that stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the few times that I've gone and spoke at like public libraries and stuff, you know, there's always a parent or two that asked, how does my kid get into that? And
Nice.
I tell them.
I assume the story's the same as far as like conception and being able to draw and sketching those things. But do you still suggest the physical 3D sculpting part?
I'll tell people that drawing is the mother of all art, you know. So if your kid's into that, encourage that. And, you know, obviously, get them sculpting. And of course, nowadays, everything's going digital. So get them into that, get them at least familiar with messing with that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
That's like, is it still important to learn how to sculpt like physical media before going to digital, or can you just jump right into digital?
I personally believe that it benefits you if you have a traditional background, because you understand, you know, sculpture is something that you can walk around, right? And light hits it different. So if you have that understanding of that, then if it doesn't matter if it's dimensionally on your screen or in your hand, you're still going to understand it. That being said, you know, NECA employs a really wonderful sculptor named Brody. He does a lot of Ninja Turtle stuff. It's my understanding that he doesn't have a traditional sculpting background, but he's able to do it really well. So
yeah,
you know.
Yeah, my expectation would be that kids would actually be more comfortable going straight to 3D, you know, software, rendering software, than, you know, doing the physical part of it. But I would hope that somewhere along that path, the creative curiosity would kick in, and they might say, I would like to be able to do this and have a sense of, you know, actually trying to put this thing together. You know, it's one thing to manipulate the tools in a virtual space. Can I do that in a real physical space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a sculptor by any stretch, but I love photography as a kid, and I did photography in high school, like old-fashioned film photography, and like all the tools of like actually developing a picture and stuff. When I did Photoshop for the first time, I was like, oh, these are all the dodge. So this is all the same stuff that you're doing in a physical picture. So it makes sense. So I could see, you know, how the same could be true for sculpting. They're like, oh yeah, this is how I do it in real life. Now I can do this.
Yeah, and this stolen copy of Photoshop is so much cheaper than all those chemicals.
And the space requirements. Those machines to like blast the image onto the paper, the developing paper. Awesome, Thomas. Thank you for sharing that. And then, so you sculpted. Have you sculpted all of the LJN style D&D figures, or just a few of them? How many?
All of them except Grimsword, who's sculpted by Martin. Yep.
Awesome. Was it like? Is it at NECA sometimes? Like they're, hey, we're gonna do this, and you're like, me. I want to do this one. Like, how does that go down?
That, as far as I know, has only happened once, and it was when we did the Planet of the Apes stuff. Like I heard, I was in the studio for 4 years, and Randy Falk's office was right behind me, and you would hear things. And I remember hearing Planet of the Apes. I just like turned around and was like, I want to be on that. But at this point, Randy and my art director, Stefan Folkens, they kind of know everybody's strengths and weaknesses. And so when a project comes along, they know kind of who's a good fit for what.
Yeah. Well, they clearly picked the right person for the job on that. Those figures are incredible. The detail. Like, I remember when I first saw that I think it was Warduke and Grimsword first, but that Warduke, I was like, oh my God, this is like a revelatory experience looking at this thing. And then getting it in person, it was incredible. I mean, Dan, I know you're a big fan.
Well, yeah, it's rare that, something comes back, right? Like a 40-year-old property or whatever comes back, and you're like, oh, they nailed it perfectly. But that's how that line felt to me. It was just like, it was perfect. I got no notes.
No notes.
I can't take full credit on that. There was a lot that went on before work on that started. Not least of which is control art by Dave Silva.
Mm-hmm.
You have Randy Falk going really hard on the licensor to make things happen. Just a lot of stuff. And even during the making of everything, like Dave Silva was art directing me. I wanted Grimsword to look more like, because when we first got the license, there wasn't really any real direction about it. It was do Warduke, and it's like, okay, well, we're going to do it in the next style. I'm going to make it look like it stepped off a movie screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my head, I was thinking, who would this guy be? He's this hard-traveled hero. I wanted to give him the physicality of like maybe a UFC fighter. Kind of lean but real muscly, and that completely went out, obviously. The licensor, I think, wanted more of like a multi-plastic sort of feel to it.
Sure.
Originally, when I sculpted it, he had veins and skin pores, all the stuff all the bells and whistles we put in at NECA, all gone. They wanted it all gone. And Dave was always calling out to make the muscles bigger. And if you see Dave, you know why. But I'm joking. But
I love that. I could picture that. What is that gif from The Last Jedi? Kylo Ren. More.
Yeah.
I
was thinking more like point to the stage of altered beast you want me to be at.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Genesis.
But prior to this, everything that I had sculpted for NECA had been something from a movie, something from real life, and I'd never ran with the fantasy thing. So Dave is a much better concept designer than me, much better everything than me. Gosh, even Mortal Kombat. Although I think I beat him at Street Fighter. Anyway, so he really helped me a lot through that, and so you got to give to Dave too for a lot of the design work and the look of these figures. At a certain point, like I think Dave kind of loosened up things and kind of let me do my own thing a bit, and that's what we see in like Elkhorn and Zarak and Strongheart.
Nice.
Awesome.
He actually had to help me out with Zarak, because when I started sculpting Zarak, he kept looking just like a small, normally proportioned human.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave like, no, you got to think fantasy. You know, big hands, big feet. You know, make it wider. And then it took me a minute, but eventually I got it.
You did, because it looks great. Turned out great. All right. Well, now that we've set the scene for you, Thomas, and your connection to Dungeons and Dragons, let's dive into the original toy line. To kind of keep us on time here, I won't spend too much time on the backstory, other than I didn't realize that LJN beat out Mego for this toy line, so that's kind of shocking. I wonder what it would be like if Mego did this.
It would have been weird, but I mean, Mego was just about dead at the time.
Yeah, it's true.
It doesn't really surprise me.
But LJN fans, like, are we like what's our LJN? This I think is our first time covering an LJN toy line.
Yeah. The only other real LJN line that we might cover is Thundercats. Yeah,
Thundercats. ET, there was an ET LJN line, so come on.
WWF.
Oh yeah. Dan hates. That's right. Dan hates WWE.
But I don't think it's a practical, realistic thing that we're going to tackle in an hour two on an episode.
This I think it's a tough. I mean, probably I would still give Thundercats the lead on best LJN toy line, but this one I think you could argue is up there. The website we're going to use as we look at these toys is a friend of the show. He's been on before. Maybe we should bring him on next week. Wayne, who runs Retro Toy Quest. He has a really nice visual history guide here for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We're going to be looking at Series 1, and let's kick things off with good old Strongheart, released in 1983. And he's a great knight guy. Like he's not as cool as Warduke or maybe some of those, but I think he's really solid. You got to have Strongheart if you're going to have an LJN collection. Dan, what's your Strongheart thoughts?
Yeah, I think just in terms of like if you're going to start from scratch and say we need a good, heroic, generic, almost good guy knight, this hits all the sort of check boxes. He's got the feather, the plume kind of thing on the top of his head, the heroic wings on the helmet, the standard sort of flip down visor type of thing, big sparkly cape and silver armor and all of those things, and it definitely reads a bit superhero, which is appropriate. And just as a figure, I mean, actually, I'm looking at this picture and I'm like, maybe Thomas is right. He's got some veins on those biceps.
Yeah, I have this figure. I've never tracked the veins before.
Yeah, no, he's sweating there.
Good Lord.
I don't know. They just sculpt that into the armor before he put it on, or is that just
is that supposed to be like the that's wild. Okay.
No, those are veins. Those are veins in his arms.
That is weird.
This is we're in He-Man era right here. You got to compete. He comes with his sword and I don't know. I guess no shield.
Just the sword and his kind of shiny cape.
You're forgetting the biggest feature is his mustache.
Fair.
It's true. Yeah, it's action mustache, right?
it's essential for 80s, right? Like you got.
That's true.
It's true. Looks like he could pitch for the Angels or something. Yeah.
I mean, there is something to like 80s, like coded elder good guys. Like the Man at Arms has a stash, Magnum PI stash, Strongheart stash. I don't know. I'm running out of stashes.
Half the roster of GI Joe. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you have this one? Did you have these as a kid, Dan? Did you have this one?
It's weird. Dungeons and Dragons sort of came into my life in a weird way because I lived in Navy housing, and so all these houses are just all kind of packed together. It was a very close sort of neighborhood, and some kid, one of the kids in the neighborhood, had Grimsword.
Okay,
and I don't recall ever seeing a TV commercial, any ads in the comics or anything like that. He just walked up with it one day, and this was kind of how you found out about toys. Sometimes just like somebody had one. And he just sort of walked up with Grimsword, and I was just like, what am I looking at? I don't know what this is. I just know that it's awesome. He's got these snakes on him and stuff. Yeah. Obviously, we'll get to him in a minute. And so it was a while before I found out about Warduke and Strongheart and all the other characters and stuff. So it wasn't something that I collected as it was happening. It hit that secondary market, like, you know, now we would say, oh, it's at Ollie's, you know, and these kinds of places. And there were those kind of second life stores back then as well. And it was there that I started to find these figures. So I was getting them cheap, but sort of after their first initial run. And then I didn't get very deep in the line. It was years before I found out about the characters past the core 4 or 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I did have Strongheart. And for me, Strongheart is like the character that my brother played with. Like, he's the default good guy, you know. He's the older brother,
Leonardo,
doing stuff right, you know, making the right decisions and stuff. I'm the middle kid, you know, so I'm the one that's acting out and trying to be different and smoking candy cigarettes and stuff, stealing Transformers, you know. So Warduke's my guy. He's Strongheart. I'm Warduke.
Nice. I love it. Thomas, what's your thoughts on? I mean, you sculpted the NECA one, right? So, what's your thoughts on the original toy?
Gosh, he is that kind of like, even the sculpt, even in the design of the figure. I mean, it comes across as that goody two shoes kind of knight, and there's plenty to work, you know, there's plenty that you could do to update that. You know, obviously the sculptors at the time are doing, you know, what they knew to do, but it looks like he's wearing like short shorts or a skirt or something, you know, like, but you know, that's why we love these figures from the 80s, is there's a charm to it, right? Like,
yes, an innocence.
We talked about,
yes,
yeah, and for whatever reason, nobody seems to be able to do that anymore. Even when they're like trying to remake figures to look like they're from the 80s.
Yes,
there's not that charm, and this guy's loaded up with charm. So
yeah, this guy is so lawful good coded. Like,
yes,
you just want to stick a kick me sign on his back. Totally.
All right, well, let's move on from Strongheart. Let's go to Dan's favorite character, Warduke. And I had a Warduke as a kid. It was a hand-me-down. I didn't have like a brand new one or anything, but he was in my collection. He is just one of those wild characters that it's just like it sparks so much imagination just looking at him. It's one of the great 80s toys. Warduke. Dan, what's your Warduke thoughts?
There's just so much going on there. There's so much story. Like, there's so much story being told just with that figure. Like, we've done a couple videos about Warduke at this point, especially back when we were Toy Galaxy as opposed to Secret Galaxy. And, you know, one of the things I mentioned in there is that the scaling on his left arm and on his left leg doesn't look like armor to me. And it never did. It looks like lizard scale or something, you know, like, so immediately I'm knowing nothing about this character. I didn't know he was in a couple of D&D modules. I didn't know he made appearances on the cartoon. All I know is this figure. So in my head, you can't see his face. His eyes are glowing behind this bat-winged helmet. I'm already concocting this story about this half lizard man, you know, who's come up from the depths of these caves, you know, 2 blocks over from hell. And, you know, like, he's definitely this chaotic, evil kind of character, you know, that's like, there's a battle of good and evil that's taking place inside of him, that's manifesting on the outside and all this stuff. And then, I mean, that sword is so cool. He's got this giant horned skull shield. Like, what, why? There's just everything about it just is so neat. The spikes on his left to the pirate boot on the right. Like, you know, what's that medallion on his neck? What's the gem on his helmet? Like, it just, everything about it is just so cool. And just from a badass factor, like, he just, like, Luke Skywalker, get out of here. Nobody wants you anymore. Get out of here. Like, he's so cool.
Go to the Tashi station. Yeah. I had this as a kid. I thought he was some type of like a hybrid, or maybe had some type of accident. And of course, I'm of the, you know, TMNT generation. Like, maybe it was like some type of mutation or something that to change half his body or something like that. Absolutely.
Yeah. If it was armor, it's like, well, what happened to the rest of it? You know,
right?
Why don't you have a full suit of armor? Why are you wearing a sleeve? Like, weird.
Thomas, what's your Warduke thoughts?
I would love the original designers of, because my takeaway when I started like digging down, I wanted to approach sculpting for NECA, what I noticed immediately was that Warduke is asymmetrical and Strongheart is symmetrical. So I don't know why that always, asymmetry is usually chaotic, and I don't know if they did that intentionally. I would love to know. I always thought it was a really neat, kind of subtle design choice. And I think Warduke's left-handed and Strongheart is right-handed as well. So just playing off of that, good guy versus bad guy. And, if you know anything about the Hearthstone module, they used to be good friends. They were actually kind of buddies. I know way too much about the backstory. I mean, I know.
I'm
why.
glad you're here, Thomas. I had no idea. That's awesome.
But apparently, like, armor comes from the fact that he's this. He's a Duke of War. He roams the land, finding war where he can. He loses things, he picks up things, and it's just a mismatch of his experiences. Cool figure. I mean, he's so iconic. I mean, just the head alone. He's just cool. He's cool.
He's the epitome of cool. And yeah, the art. If we look at his card art, he's got glowing eyes.
Yeah.
Tim Truman.
Yes.
So Timothy Truman did the card art. No, I don't think he did all the. There's like that. Well, there's a lot of that black and white art you can find. It was done for the modules, I believe, and I know Tim Truman did a lot of it. He didn't do all of it, but yeah, very cool. Cool stuff.
Yeah, when I was a toy dealer, I acquired a collection that had just a crystal mint sample of this carded figure. And I'm not a carded collector. It's not the kind of thing I hang on to. I like to open my action figures. I don't like the burden of history
Sure.
relying on me as far
Yes.
as like preserving that thing and making sure it lasts and stays that crystal clear. So I had to sell it. But it's the one thing that I was like, if I was only going to keep one carded piece in my collection, it was going to be that one, because the card art, the figure, the presentation, everything about it is just awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. I also feel the same way. I think we said it before on the show. Yeah, especially if it's super minty, I'm just like, I don't want that responsibility. Give me one that's kind of beat up a little
give me the
bit.
cigarette yellow one.
Yeah,
with the dinged corners and stuff.
I don't want the responsibility. All right, let's move on here to Melf Parallel. Am I saying that right? I don't know. And this I love. This is one of those. When I first found out about this figure, I was like, oh, well, he's a different race of character, and he has a different scale, and he scales differently to the human characters. And it's just one of the things that I love about that original toy line. So you had the good fighter, mage, elf, both Parallel and Melf, whatever the back. I mean, actually, Thomas, what's the backstory there on this guy? Why are there two names for the same character? Do you know?
I do not.
Okay.
A possible theory is that I have no idea.
That's fine. That's fine. But what's your thoughts on this figure?
I mean, I don't like the. Well, I can't say that I don't like, but I never was drawn to like the little small figures, like Elkhorn. Was another one of the small ones from this line. You'll get to him, but and also. It's kind of hard separating what I know now of D&D from,
sure.
And as an elf, I would want him to be a little more substantial.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
I have him. I have the variant shield. There's like a blue variant shield apparently, and
maybe that's what separates him. No, maybe not. Same shield.
There's, the second series was released overseas. Maybe it has something to do with that. Parallel sounds French, right?
Yeah. Parallel. Dan, what's your thoughts on our mage elf here?
Yeah, I appreciate the different scales of figures for the different races and stuff. I think that's a really cool aspect of any toy line, and I think it's neat that was something that was happening this early on, in the early 80s with this particular figure line, because that's one of the strengths of Dungeons and Dragons, the game. is this, ability to create different characters that have different attributes and, your huge fighter or whatever, and the, dwarves and, whatever else. So I appreciate that they did that. As far as like a figure that I would have been excited about, the sort of insubstantial nature of it probably wouldn't have excited me too much. It would have been like, here you got a Jawa, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I know they're important to the line, but like this is so tiny. I feel like I didn't even get a figure.
It's not even one of the cooler ones of like the smaller scale, characters or whatever.
Yeah, but I hear Thomas, the comment about like the sort of evolution of the way elves are depicted from here, where this is like a Keebler elf, this is a cookie making elf here.
But look at the card art.
Yes,
the card art,
yeah.
That's what you want.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Orlando Bloom hasn't, changed our perceptions of what elves should look like.
Yeah. So it would have definitely been interesting, or will be interesting, I don't know, to see how this would have been interpreted in a modern sort of modern approach.
For sure. Let's keep moving on here to Merrick Mercion. Thomas, what's your thoughts on Mercion?
I love this figure. It's the only female in the first series. I think
the only in the first for sure.
And I don't know. There's gosh, how do I explain that? I don't know. I want to use something other than beautiful, but I find it kind of beautiful. Like there's like a term to her that you want, and the design is good because a boy would want to play with that. I think is what I'm trying to say. It's not overly girly like a She-Ra toy. She's not obviously endowed with, female attributes that might make a young boy kind of bashful or shy or whatever. And she's got this lovely face and lovely hair, and she's got this staff that could obviously crack some skulls. So
yeah, it's good maces on both sides of that there.
And I think she's a cleric.
Yep.
And that's very important in D&D. You got to have somebody to heal all your wounds after that. I think it's a great figure.
I agree. Kind of touching upon, like it's a tough balance to strike of a female character that is powerful, strong, but then you still want to have some of those female attributes, and like the head sculpt here is beautiful. It's a beautiful head sculpt, and then it's cool. She's got like her full armor underneath the cloak and everything. She just looks really cool. It's a really nice looking figure. I have one on display there in my collection, and yeah, it's a really nice one. Dan, what's your thoughts?
The thing that really stands out to me with this figure is the contrasts of all the materials that are used here. She's got her like full plate armor, underneath there with the leather gloves and the leather boots. But then there's two different kinds of, fabric involved here. She's got her tunic that is this sort of, yellow with the belt. Actually, there's three if you want to count that belt too.
Yeah.
But then she has that cloak that has that sparkly kind of glittery sort of thing going on that Strongheart's cape had going on as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it all comes together nicely to, again, tell a story with the accessories, tell a story with the costume. This is clearly a good character. This is clearly, someone who is also capable of combat,
Yes.
and swinging that staff, and is, capable of defending herself, but also, taking care of the rest of the team. It's a gorgeous figure. I've never owned one, so I don't know in terms of, functionality, posability, those sorts of things, how nice she is.
We haven't talked about it too much. Like, what's our thoughts on the articulation and stuff of these figures, like kind of where they sit in that 80s era? Like, it's not 5 POA, but it's not quite, O-ring G.I. Joe is probably the pinnacle of articulation. But like, Dan, what's your thoughts on most of these figures' posability?
Yeah, it's definitely nothing could compete with G.I. Joe
Sure.
back then, and so I always would have wanted G.I. Joe articulation. No elbows, well, then you're not as good as GI Joe. Like just straight up, like you should have started from there. We have reached the mountaintop. This is it. Why are you making anything else? It doesn't make sense to me. But this was fine for what it was. No action figures, even GI Joe, were really getting exciting poses. You weren't going to be able to put them in your shelf other than do anything particularly realistic, that I should say.
Yeah.
So these were fine for what they were.
Yeah. Thomas, what's your thoughts on were you an art I mean, you're a GI Joe fan, so like did you have that same thing with like, okay, well, one of the things I love about GI Joe is its posability, and I can get it in these, it can sit in the vehicles, it can do all the controls because it has the swivel arm, elbows. Like where did you side on the articulation of these figures, maybe just toys as a whole back then?
Yeah, I mean, like they said, once you have a GI Joe, after like 83, I mean, there's no comparison. If they could stand up, that was good enough for me usually. I mean,
yeah, that wasn't always the case too.
And yeah, these guys, they have some trouble standing up. I don't know if it's because the bottoms of their feet are kind of slick, but they do have that that kind of J-hook waist articulation, similar to GI Joe. Which after a while the rubber band gets wobbly and their legs are just shot. And unlike GI Joe, you can't change them out.
Yeah.
So, no, but I think they're fun. I mean, they're better than Star Wars. I mean,
exactly.
They got the bulge in the shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And knee articulation.
No.
No, I thought they had knee articulation.
Melf
just
does.
Remembering that.
I think,
okay.
No. Melf
yeah,
does.
no,
you're right.
Remember for the horses, you got to plug them in the back.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Fake legs hanging over the sides on the saddles.
Yeah,
like Melf's legs got like a weird cut there. I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, crap, I was wrong.
But hey, look, there are action figure lines being released today that have action limitations on articulation. So
I don't know of any. All toys today are perfect. I have no commentary whatsoever. All right, let's keep moving on here to I think it's a fan favorite. Great, just a really fun little figure. Thomas, I follow your Instagram. You're kind of putting your own Boba Set collection, it looks like, together of these Zarak figures, right?
Yeah.
What's special about Zarak to you?
I just think it's a great design. And it really all comes together at the top of the shoulders there with the head. That blue and green with the black and red, it just pops. And feel of it, like, I don't know if enough people talk about the way a toy feels, but there's like it feels good, right? Like
yeah.
I like holding him in my hand. He's just a cool figure. He's like the good weight. I don't know. I love it. Again, asymmetry. Shoulder up on one side or on the other. It's just a cool figure. He reminds me of Disney Sleeping Beauty. Maleficent had the little gang of trolls.
Yeah.
And I love those guys. I love the designers. And it's not a similar design really, but he evokes that in my memory. Again, Tim Truman card art. I think kind of gets a little more to that, what I was saying about Maleficent's crew, but
yeah,
he's just a cool character to me.
He's really cool. He's really cool. Dan, what's your thoughts?
I didn't own this. I don't know if I've ever owned a Zarak.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
I'm shocked.
I've never, even then and now, I've never really been like I need to complete a line of vintage stuff or whatever. I just get the ones that I had as a kid, and maybe there were a couple other that I was like, oh, I always wanted to get that one. I never had a chance to actually get it. And since I didn't really have an attachment to Zarak, it was one that I never really sought out and felt like I had to get. But obviously, I've seen the figure a lot. I have owned it as far as like, from a dealer standpoint. I just never moved it from column A to column B, inventory to personal collection. It never made that shift over. I do love the asymmetry of it. He is really one of these characters in the line that emphasizes this difference in all the characters, right? Like you have, like we were just looking at Mercion, who's all these bright colors and is sort of soft and friendly and welcoming. And then this is the exact opposite in terms of, color composition and the shapes of the armor and the things that are attached. He's got that rope in the back. He's carrying a dagger. It's the difference in all of these characters that is so appealing about this line. If you are putting the whole thing together.
Yeah. I agree. I'm shocked. This is like, I feel like it's very Dan Larson coded.
That's the thing, is like, I don't, there's a lot of lines that I just don't go very deep into.
Yeah.
One or two guys I'm into, and the rest I'm just like, I don't need this.
Okay. All right. Well,
now we know with them. It's not bad figures.
No, you hate it. And
maybe you like this down. Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going on here. Let's go to the next figure. Elkhorn. Great representation in the NECA line. And I love this little guy. He's awesome. He's so much fun. I love the colors. I love the sculpting. I love the accessories. I love his sword. But Dan, what's your Elkhorn thoughts?
I will say this is one that definitely benefits from 40 years of technological advancement, sculpting, paint, and the larger scale of the NECA line.
He's just so charming, though. Look at him. He's so cute.
He's borderline knockoff toy. He's borderline. I'm sorry, but it really is. It is the bendy figures, like you can see him on the back of the packages there. This almost moves into that bendy figure.
Wow.
As far as it looks. I've owned an Elkhorn. It's never something that I added to my collection. I don't know. Like,
my Elkhorn is offended right now. He's looking at me from the shelf over there.
He's not talking about me, is he?
That's what he's in his face. He's really mad.
Yeah. Like, I got the NECA figure and I was like, oh, that's what he's supposed to look like. I see it now.
Thomas, do you agree with Dan, or do you have an alternate take here? What are you side?
No, I agree with Dan.
I'm alone on this. Okay, fine, whatever.
When I look at this figure, he looks more like a Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs dwarf. Like,
okay.
Looks like his hose are running and sagging down. Like, I just, again, knowing what I know of D&D, this is not a good representation of a dwarf.
Okay.
In the literature and in the gameplay, he's so, and I mean, it's not that you couldn't have a small, tiny little insignificant dwarf, but this guy's supposed to be a hard traveled, sidekick to Strongheart. Yeah. This, I kind of, disdain's a strong word, but kind of my dislike for the design of this figure was one of the reasons I wanted to make the NECA one as good as it possibly could.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I appreciate the difference in scale of this thing. Again, I love that there's different, dimensions, torso sizes, all this sorts of things. But yeah, I really feel like this could have, it's funny, Thomas, you were telling us about the sort of art direction and how that helped you put the proportions of the figure together in a better way. I feel like this could have benefited from someone saying like, the proportions on this are kind of off.
Yeah,
it's fair.
Yeah, like I think he's shorter than Melf.
I think he is. He is shorter. Melf is like almost. He only comes up to like maybe right under his arms.
Yeah,
I'm looking at. I have them both standing.
And is that to the top of his horns? Is that to the
no?
top
No,
of
that's.
horns,
Well, I guess horns is up to his. But I'm saying I guess top of his head is up to there. But I'm okay. I guess I'm alone on my appreciation of this vintage Elkhorn figure.
But even from like a 1983 rental point of view, like, is that like thinking about the cost, right? Like you see that package versus any of the other characters, who's going to want it? But
that's fair.
Yeah, it's almost like this should have been a 2-pack. You had two dwarves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. It's a fair call out. All right. Well, there you go. Everybody, Elkhorn is the worst toy in the history of the world. Let's keep going to the next figure. I love a good wizard and a bad wizard. This one is the good one, Ringlerun. And he's got the He's got the boots for it. Dan, what's your Ringlerun thoughts?
Yeah, you got it's D&D. You got to have wizards. You got to have magic in there somehow. He's good. This is one where it's like, and it very common, you know, in the 80s, where the figure just doesn't match the packaging art. Like it's just
Okay,
doesn't.
let's take a look.
It's not the same.
Bring him up here. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Who's that guy on the card? That's not the guy that's in the figure. You know, like from my eye, and I'll admit I'm a bit colorblind, but he looks like he's wearing a blue robe with this, you know, tunic sort of thing that's red, trimmed with gold, and he's got this big hood up in the back, and the figure is in like what, silver, white, you know, it's like kind of a white, sparkly silver kind of thing with red and black. Like, did they mispackage it? Is the wrong guy? But you know, as far as the figure's concerned, it's a cool wizard. He's definitely got, you know, wizard eyebrows and wizard beard and all that stuff going on. He's got his magic staff, so he's good. He works for what he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool. Love it.
His little elf shoes, you know.
I love his little booties. I think they're cute. Thomas, what's your thoughts on old Ringlerun?
I mean, as to why he's colored different than the package, I'm going to guess that it's because Strongheart had a blue cape, blue sparkly, so maybe they didn't want to. I don't know.
Double up on that.
Doesn't explain why his shoes aren't green, but you know, with these figures, and you know, we'll get to Kelek later, but I don't know if I should be doing this, but I love seeing them without the robes, because it like they're like some Robinson Crusoe, or like who's the guy from Treasure Island, Gun, anyway, but
Ringlerun, let's take a look at him. Ringlerun.
Yeah,
LJN.
he looks like he's been cast away on and on for a while. There you go, third one down.
Yeah, he's got like ripped pants and stuff.
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah. He looks like the guy that should be in shackles, you know, like in a way. Yeah,
that's a choice. That's a choice.
There are some cool details going on there.
Yeah, there's like sculpted, you know, nice little details in there, little pouches.
Like, I got this heavy wool robe. I don't need pants.
I respect that. Like if it's in the summer months, it gets steamy under there. Yeah,
gotta let him breathe. Yeah, he's a short guy. He's one of those guys that shorts year round. Yeah.
His arm is yellow all the way up to the.
Yeah. No one's gonna look under there. It's fine. This whole Ringlerun. All right, let's go to the evil wizard with Kelek. And you know, I not to say bad guys are cooler than the good guys, but Kelek looks a little more dynamic. He's a little more fun. He's got the angry eyes, and his staff is way cooler. Dan,
he matches his card art.
Yeah. What's your Kelek thoughts, Dan?
I think it looks great. If I was going to pick one of the two, I would definitely have picked Kelek. He's got the way cooler staff with that like dragon on there, and he's got two accessories. You're talking about value. Go for this guy. But yeah, just that high popped Doctor Strange collar and the, you know, black and red robes. Yeah, this is all good. I would definitely go Kelek over Ringlerun for sure.
Thomas, what's your Kelek
thoughts? I love that staff. There's some sculpting going on in there. There's you know, he's basically got a sidekick. I mean, if your imagination goes that way, there's a dragon sitting on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
No, he's a cool figure. That's what you want from an evil wizard. And if you watch the cartoon, you know, he's in it. Same episode as Warduke. And he's cool. Cool guy.
I would say both wizards are missing an orb to hunt over and ponder. They need an orb of some sort. Just throw a marble in there. You'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It'll be fine. You got those laying around. All right, that wraps up the regular sized humans in series 1. Yeah, Grimsword's not till next year. A little known fact, maybe. So now we're gonna go to the giants and the first of, or what do they call these things? The battle masters, or no, that's, I don't know. Whatever. The big guys. Young male Titan. And hey, look at, he's got the little veins popping out of his arm too. Thomas, are you bummed you haven't gotten a Titan yet? Have we not gotten a Titan in the NECA line yet?
No. I would love to do one. I think there's a lot of potential for Northboard. Problem is reuse, right? Like,
sure.
You know, we try to. I'm not going to lie. I think if you guys have been around the toy industry long enough, you know when you start a line, it gets planned out for a while.
Sure.
And so we were building a steam there, I think. And my plan was to have 2 figure waves. One of the figures in each wave have reuse potential, right? So you think about Zarak. In order to get Elkhorn, we had to do Zarak. Elkhorn's basically Zarak. And so, but when you get to these bigger figures, like all sculpted so differently, it becomes a challenge to try to plan something like that out. But yeah, young male Titan, never my favorite figures. Definitely keep his helmet on. His giant oversized helmet.
Mask on, lights off.
So yeah. Again, I think the card art is a little bit better.
He's kind of goofy, a little goofy, but
yeah. I didn't like the. He's got those rubber skirts. Those started showing up in the larger figures and the later shield shooters, and those rings that they're supposed to stick their swords in always rip or tear, especially as they get older. You know, these toys are 40 years old.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dan, what's your young Titan thoughts?
I remember seeing this on the end cap at the second chance. I think it was like Christmas tree shop or something back then. It's the Ollies of the day, whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
And I remember seeing it on the end cap and thinking like, that is not a very interesting character name. No. Like Strongheart, Warduke, Kelek, Mercion, and the young male Titan. What? Like, did they forget to put his name on there? Like, what's going on?
They can't all be winners, okay?
I'm like, is this supposed to be an army builder? I get maybe. I don't know.
That's how I always thought it. It's like a generic
young male Titan. That's terrible. And then like his card art is him just like about to just stab
Zarak,
Kelek there, like, or Zarak, excuse me. Like,
I feel like
Zarak better.
I feel like with his name, they could lose one of those words and it would still be fun.
Yeah,
just
right.
Pick one. Just get one.
Shoot, you're right.
Exactly. They could have just called him Titan, and you'd have been like, "Oh, yeah. Titan, that's so cool." But then, like, young male Titan.
Yeah.
Hey, nobody's accusing you of anything. You don't need to be so specific. Like, just like
guys, I promise, I'm still young. Yeah. It's like, dude, you're like 57.
How old do you think I am? How old do you think I am? Like, all right, dude, nobody, settle down. It's not a big deal.
You can do it not in human years, Titan years. Okay, like it's a different scale.
I'm tall, not old. You know. But he's just like what, like a Roman centurion kind of thing. He's got the cool, broom helmet and like the neat shield and whatever. So just from a standpoint of like, is this a cool action figure? Yeah, it's a cool action figure. It's fine. Looks neat. It's got a bunch of accessories and the larger scale is kind of weird, but whatever. It's still a cool figure.
Yeah, it's neat. It's all right. Let's keep going on to the bad guy big figure.
Who goes there? It's me, young male Titan.
Is this one better for you, Dan? Ogre King?
Yes, that one's better. Thank you. Still kind of generic, but
more stuff going on, at least a little better than like a generic Roman kind of figure looking dude, the Ogre King. Cool color scheme too. I dig this color scheme.
Yeah. This feels like it's in the same line as Warduke for sure.
Yeah. I love that shield.
Look how happy he is too.
He's a happy camper. Thomas, do you like this one better than Young Male Titan?
Absolutely. I would argue from a design standpoint. I mean, we talk about Warduke because he's so iconic, but like Dan was saying, you look at this guy, you can tell they hang out there. Like, and the dagger on the back. I mean, it's just such a cool design. The shield, it really is a cool design. The shield shooter, the colors for the shield shooters even cooler, I think. Like, cool, absolutely cool figure. What I want to know is like, where are the other O's? Like, he's the king,
right? That's true.
Where's the other ones?
Come on, LJN, get to it. I know it don't exist anymore, but all right, let's go to the last of the Series 1 giant figures. We got North Lord. I always laughed at how like oversized his helmet was.
That helmet is so huge.
It's insane.
It's so big.
Jeez.
Like for years, I thought that helmet went to a Thundercats figure.
Right? It's just so. I wonder, is that a thing like in Norse? Like, do they have a helmet that's that oversized? Is that like in the lore or something?
I can't imagine. No.
Thomas, you're our D&D expert here. Is that something in the lore?
No, and I love one of the things I love about my job is I get to study like real life things to kind of apply to the sculpt. So I went deep on armor, and I can't. There's not a helmet like this.
No.
I mean, honestly, I see its value because if you try to swipe at that with a sword, it's just going to go right off, right? No one had a. I don't know why they did that. It doesn't stay on his head.
Yeah, and it's weird that he's got such a there's like 3 paint apps, 3 different colors on that helmet. It's like it's gorgeous. It's intricately sculpted.
Yeah, the wings have all that detail too.
It's not even on the card art. Like it's not there.
Oh wait, hold on. Oh, you're right. Well, it's kind of in the back. The North Lord on the back has the ridiculous wings, but even that helmet does not look absurdly large in this art on the back of the card.
Yeah, well, and the naming convention is just killing me because then this one has his name and his designation, North Lord, Great Barbarian. It's like,
yeah,
who's doing this stuff? We have some line consistency, some uniformity, please.
All right, let's jump to
but
the
before we
mounts.
move on, I do want to say. Again, the colors going on here, the color scheme, the amount of detail on this figure is really impressive. It is very cool. The 2-tone shield, those wings on that helmet are fantastic. That's sort of like the filigree in the axe.
Mm-hmm.
Really great details for a figure like that. Again, 2-tone there, 2-tone sword, all that stuff. Really, really nice looking figure there, other than the abstractly, absurdly large helmet.
So close.
The way it goes with it.
So close. But I need a little sound clip from Jurassic Park at Attenborough going, spared no expense. No expense was spared on what they put in to old North Lord. Let's go to our steeds, and we got to talk about old Destroyer.
I don't know how it's pronounced. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one.
It's just
but Strongheart steed, and it's Strongheart steed because his legs are always on it, not the toy.
Nobody else can ride that horse.
Thomas, what's your thoughts on this? And then we're gonna go to the other steeds, but just the couple steeds that we got in wave 1 here and their approach to them.
I love all steeds, and I love that they took the kind of tauntaun approach.
Yes.
So sticking the figures down in there. I actually have my Strongheart doesn't have any legs, but it displays well. But
nice.
I mean, it works as a toy. I think it works great. It looks great. No complaints. I have no complaints about any of these.
Yeah, it looks really good. Dan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, as someone who owned tauntauns prior to this, it made sense. It was like, well, there's no other way to solve that problem. You understood that you can't have the legs go around the horse like that unless you do it the Playmobil way, where the back of the horse is so narrow that you can slide them over it. Yeah, straight legged style. So I thought this was a fine way to solve the problem. Put the fake legs on the side. It's okay. And like Thomas said, I believe you just said, like my Strongheart that's on my Destroyer, I don't know how it's pronounced, doesn't have legs either. So he's just sort of plugged in there. But it works. You don't have to take it off.
Yeah.
And I love that he's got the little sheath for his sword on there.
I love that too.
And the armor is like it's well designed. It's got a cool sort of beak on the front with the wings coming back. Actually, the whole thing kind of looks fishy. It's almost like a mer horse, like the way the armor looks. But I dig it. This is definitely a nice piece. I don't have a large collection of LJN D&D, but I have this horse for sure.
Yeah, he's great. And just the sculpting is like they did this. They're not wasting or they're not cheaping out, I guess I should say, on it. They're really going all the way. I mean, we love Masters of the Universe, but a lot of times it was like you get one color piece of plastic, that's the armor. You get like another piece of plastic, that's the actual body. And you go, to our next one here, Evil Nightmare, and it's just stunning in terms of like paint application, sculpting, all the armor. It looks so good.
Love this course. Love it. Absolutely. Yep. The only issue with this one is that over the years, his feet break off really easily.
Yes.
But I love it. Love the fake legs again, even though it makes for a weird kind of, you really got to sit him right in that saddle or it doesn't work. But just the epic heavy metal look of that horse with the bone wings and the skulls all over it, and the flaming hooves. Ugh, it is so great.
So good. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to complain about anything, it would be that the sculpted legs on the saddle are just a little bit big. But no, it's awesome. Who wouldn't want that?
It's just
what kid wouldn't want that,
right?
Yeah, the
flames,
the art on the front, with the Warduke on top of that horse, the flaming.
Oh man,
it just looks so good. So. It's so metal.
It's so metal. Like I want a poster of that.
Yeah, so good.
Evil mount, rock and roll. Let's go. All right, let's go to the last of the mounts. Another hero mount, the bronze dragon. I know it's a hero mount because again we got Strongheart's feet, legs on there. I mean, it's a dragon. It's a dragon he can ride. And again, like all the scale and just that detail in this figure, it looks pretty darn cool. Gentlemen, what's your thoughts on an old bronze dragon? Maybe a generic name. We don't like that.
I'm not loving this one as much. I've never cared for it as much. This one feels like merry-go-round dragon to me. You know what I mean? Like carousel, carnival kind of thing. Like it doesn't look like they were trying to make a real dragon. It looks like they were trying to make a toy, like it doesn't read scary dragon to me, even if it's supposed to be a good guy. I appreciate it. I love the idea of Strongheart riding a dragon into battle. That's really cool. But I don't know. This one looks like he needs to get a hit of the power sword to turn from Cringer into battle dragon.
Look at his teeth are showing. He looks angry. He's rawr. Thomas, what's your bronze dragon thoughts?
I can see Dan's point about the merry-go-round dragon, but I think it's great. I believe Dragonlance was around back then, 83, 84. Have to check on that, but I mean, aside from Tiamat, which I guess is coming later, but like, where else are you going to get a dragon into this line?
Yeah,
and it is Dungeons and Dragons, so
you gotta have a dragon.
Fair, yes.
Your tell to it being a good guy is that it is a metallic dragon. Your metallic dragons are good. Your chromatics are bad.
Oh, okay.
Just little
good to know. So bronze dragon actually is important to know.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I learned something new today.
Yeah,
all right.
Some of us didn't do the reading to prepare for today.
Sorry, Allison. All right, let's go to from the mounts to the monsters. First up, we got a Dragone.
I think it's Dragon. Yeah.
Dragon. He's cool. He's kind of got a cool elder dragon kind of thing, like griffin dragon kind of deal. He's pretty neat. Thomas, where do you side on old Dragone?
I don't have this one, but I love the skull on that head. And he's kind of got that chimera sort of thing going on. It's like a dragon. He's a lion. I wouldn't want to run into this guy.
Agreed.
Is he a monster or like a guy? I don't.
He's a good guy monster, I guess. He's like a lion dragon thing. Half dragon, half lion.
The description says good beast. This good beast.
There you go.
Yeah, so if I were Warduke, I wouldn't want to run into him.
Yeah, exactly. He's cool.
Gorgeous toy, the gold paint, still shining after 40 years. I will say this, if you're not familiar with this toy, suffers from terrible gold plastic syndrome.
Ooh, yeah.
If
You
we
even
leave
see it
these-
here in this example.
If we if we leave these pictures up on screen for too long, they will break. The wings will break. The figure is fine.
Yes.
Those wings at this point are like wafers. Like they will just crack. I'm surprised if any of them still exist. Even the boxed ones, they're so brittle.
The Tiamat my Tiamat has broken wings, like because there's these little tabs that go in too. It's just like little flimsy itty bitty tabs.
But on these, the whole wing
Especially.
is just gonna crumble.
Yeah.
They're unfortunately, it's that gold plastic.
Does it have something to do with, I don't know, whatever they put in the plastic to make it gold, I suppose?
I would assume,
Probably.
yeah, something about that chemical makeup. Just Transformers is wrought with it. Like it's unfortunate. They just crumble. And it's just a thing now, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had a little, website, business, whatever, making replacement wings.
Yeah, I've definitely seen those for Tiamat.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Actually, I need to get replacement wings for my Tiamat. All right, and then the last of the monsters, we've got ourselves Hook Horror.
Cool monster, very cool monster.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hook hands.
I like that the rendition in plastic does sort of cartoonify him a bit. It softens him a bit from this weird, gross, scaly buzzard monster. That he's usually sort of depicted as in the various pieces of supporting artwork, and on the box art itself is a bit scarier looking. But just a cool monster, kind of almost like a Power Rangers kind of thing going on there, as far as that's concerned. But a nice variety of things to both assist and fight against your various action figures in this line.
It's pretty cool. Tom, what's your Hook Horror thoughts?
I love these guys. Dwellers of the Underdark. They make a clacking sound with their beaks. That's how you know they're around. So, imagine being like in a cave and just click, 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 click.
Ooh.
I love this toy so much, and the design of the early one, that I don't really care for like the newer iterations and designs of him. Like
interesting.
In the monster manuals and stuff. I don't know. I'm so attached to this one.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a classic look for sure. All right, and then let's close this thing out with what I consider one of the greatest play sets of all time. It is a stunning looking playset, packed with tons of features, and it's not all that big. Fortress of Fangs. I did not own one as a kid, but I own one now. It's complete. I wish I had it as a kid because I just feel like there's so many little nooks and crannies and little spaces and areas to like have adventures in. I freaking love this playset. Thomas, what's your Fortress of Fangs thoughts?
Love it. On myself, it's not complete, but it's near it. I'd say it's about 75% complete. Everything you want in it is there. Missing the little bits like the treasure chest and like the skulls on top of the fin. But it's a complete environment. Your toys, right? And that's what you want. And from with like Snake Mountain, it has all these steps and stuff that your character can't walk up. Like you can't pose the He-Man on those steps. This thing's got it all, and you can put them everywhere, and you can put a lot of figures on it.
Yes.
Have the ladder, which allows you to get up to the top. You got a slide. You got there's like a catapult thing to launch people off. Booby traps. And look at it. I don't know. It's amazing. I think it's a great toy. I love how packed it is, and it packs all that stuff in there.
Yes.
Yeah. Look at the modern collector. I hate that it's got so many pieces I got to chase down.
Yes. It's a ton of pieces.
But I got a super great deal on mine, so I don't mind spending a little more to get the pieces that it needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan, what's your Fortress of Fangs?
I would say if you haven't, anybody listening and watching on YouTube, if you haven't watched our video from years ago, we did a video about the Fortress of Fangs.
I remember, yeah.
I've said pretty much everything I needed to say about it in that. So please go check that out. But it is a top 5 playset for sure, all time. Just an amazing piece. this is the kind of thing that if I had it as a kid, I could have spent, you know, an entire summer, you know, of days
Exactly.
just getting lost in this thing and having adventures, D&D figures, Star Wars figures, whatever. I could have used this cross-platform, you know, like
Yeah.
it would have been fine. Anything that came with a jail, forget about it. Like, even though like all the lava pit and some of that stuff, even though it's decals, like they're so gorgeously illustrated that there's just so much to allow you to sort of get immersed in the world of this playset that you know, it is just a work of art. The giant demon statue and the axes and the skulls. It is just, excuse me, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous thing. The stalactites and stalagmites. Just an amazing playset. Like, you know, when you consider that something like Castle Grayskull was just like 2 jointed pieces of, you know, vacuum pressed, you know, hollow plastic with a chair, you know, like in an elevator. It's like this. They didn't leave anything. They didn't leave anything on the cutting room floor. They put it all in there. And then one of the things that I would not have appreciated at the time that I appreciate far more now is that heavy metal box art. Holy cow.
Yes.
It is just put that on the side of my van. Like, it's amazing. Look at that. All right. Everybody's there. The party is going. Like, Warduke and Strongheart never going to get along. Like, it is just great. And it's right smack dab in the middle of hell or something. I don't know. It is great.
It's so good. But
The
you're right. It's
like the Fangs logo over there is just like dripping with acid or goo or blood, or I don't know. It's just so good. It's so good. Do you know who painted that? We should find out who painted that.
I don't know. Maybe it's here in the details or something. But yeah, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And yeah, it is like that ability, unlike some other playsets of that era. And I love Castle Grayskull. I think it's a classic, but it's that ability to, like, you can actually, there's so many little nooks and crannies and areas to play and actually really engage with it. It's not just like a sticker on a floor and you have to imagine it all. Like, there's so much of it is here and represented in 3-dimensional sculpted space. So it's a one of my absolute favorites. So good. So good. All right, that wraps up 1983 Series 1 for LJN's Dungeons and Dragons. Thomas, final thoughts for the toy line.
Love it. If you liked what NECA did and that LJN, go pick up the vintage. They're great. Most of them are fairly affordable in the secondary market. Shield shooters are a little more expensive. Battle-matics are just a little bit more expensive, but it's a great line. And a lot of it, it's deep. There's a lot of stuff.
Tons of stuff. So much stuff. We'll tackle all the minis, or at least as many as we can in the next episode to pump that up a little bit. But Dan, final thoughts on LJN Dungeons and Dragons?
Like I said, it's not a line I completed. I've never owned every single figure in the line or anything. The ones I owned are some of my favorites of all time. Obviously, Warduke is a top 3 figure for me. Just absolutely love the character, love the design, love everything about that toy. We'll get into Battle-matics, I think, next time, as far as like that added functionality. And I've told Thomas before, I know the line at NECA didn't happen just because of him or any one person or anything, but it is the idea that Warduke came back. It's like you look around and you're like, well, what characters didn't come back? Mask is back, everything's coming back. Of course, Warduke, of course the D&D line was going to come back at some point, but that's not necessarily true. It took Randy and everybody at NECA to actually make that happen. And I never thought there would be a modern version of that character. I thought this kind of look and sort of aesthetic was just always going to be trapped in my head. So I'm so happy to see that realized, because this is sort of what I always saw. This new NECA figure is 2 years old now. It's what I always saw when I looked at that toy. And it's neat to really have that modern version of it. I still love the vintage figure. It's still one of my all-time favorites, but it's nice to have that update. So indeed cool figures.
Indeed, agreed. It's just for me, for a vintage line of that era, it did so many things that where other toy lines kind of cut corners, maybe dropped some paint apps, maybe didn't go all the way. LJN really did go all the way for a lot of these. It's a shame it didn't do better, but it probably just got eaten up by Masters of the Universe and that kind of sword and
Yeah,
sorcery
and maybe
spot.
if the cartoon had been the Warduke and Strongheart show,
Sure, yeah.
even then all kids were confused about the fact that
Yes,
we had this deep toy line with characters that barely appeared in a show and no toys of the characters that were on the show every week. Like, what was going on?
It was weird.
Very weird.
It was weird. Well, that is going to wrap it up. Thomas, anything's coming up for you that you want people to know about?
Just head on over to NECAofficial.com, Instagram. I'm usually posting on there. Obviously, I can't tell you what I'm working on or what's coming out. But yeah, just, social media usually lets you know.
Awesome. Sweet. Dan, you just posted
by the way, Thomas is also the sculptor of Alf. So
that's, I mean, I have my San Diego Comic-Con Alf right here. You can't really see him. He's off camera a little bit. He's sitting right here. I got him. Incredible work on. I mean, honestly, yeah. If you follow you on I'll put a link to
you'll
your
know what he's working on. Absolutely.
Instagram. It's great stuff. Tracking and seeing the great stuff that you work on. Dan, what's going on in your world?
We got today. We just dropped a comprehensive redo of Brave Star. We did Brave Star a long time ago, and our style, our presentation, our research, everything has changed so much since then. This video is longer, deeper, all of that stuff than the first video. So even if you've seen the first video, this is going to tell a completely different story. We're pretty happy with the way that one came out, so definitely go check that out. And then I'll be live streaming probably Sunday. We usually go on Saturday nights. We'll probably be going Sunday, long before your show, Jay.
Yeah, whatever.
We're not going to butt up against your show.
Go for
it. But that'll be my big recap of New York Toy Fair.
Oh, beautiful. Awesome. Excited to watch that. No, we should live stream at the same time and like be on each other's shows at the same time. Like just cross.
Do it.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you again, Thomas. Great having you here. Hope to have you again sometime. And big thanks to Allison Troy does our research. If you watch us on YouTube, hit subscribe and the bell so you don't miss any future episodes. If you're listening to audio, rate, review, and subscribe. That helps us out on the audio side of things. We'll see you all next time. Hasta luego and goodbye.
Later.